It's right before I joined up with Hold My DualShock in in March.
I streamed with them once on BSUP after I was no longer the producer. I was brought back as a uh just a guest, and they happened to be the guest as well.
I see. Anyway, here's tonight's topic. The the Green Lanterns and everything related. Yeah.
Oh, we're live already. Oh, nice. I
Yep.
wasn't sure if we were. Huh?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Hi,
awesome.
South Cali guy. Won't be able to join, but I'll be here in the comments watching it. That's okay. There's plenty of other DC comic characters to go over in the future. Thanks for let. Thank you. Look who else we got here. Geek Frag with Nate Knows. Yep, you've got quite a lot of folks here joining us tonight. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, I brought my peeps along, so you'll see a bunch of new names probably in your chat that you haven't before.
Yeah, I dropped a link in my Discord, so you might get some people from that as well.
Cool. That's cool. Anyway, I've known about the Green Lantern since watching those commercials of the Justice League animated series back in the 2000s. They are quite one of the most iconic superheroes in the DC universe. That if you get to know the lore and much of what there is to know about the Green Lanterns and their part of the universe, you could go anywhere in DC. That's just my thought.
It's definitely they're definitely one of the most versatile character sets because anybody can basically become one. You know, that's one of the things I love about the Green Lantern is it's a calling, it's a destiny kind of thing.
Yeah, look at me. Look at my avatar.
Yeah, hi 13 King style. How's it going?
Yeah, it's like as I was telling you in the green room, my husband and I would before COVID used to go down to Metropolis, Illinois for the Superman Festival. He always cosplay. We go down there, so I was wearing the outfit that you can see in my avatar, but what you can't see is my arm is outstretched, holding a Green Lantern Pez dispenser because I was giving Pez to the kids, going, "You want a piece of me?" And they'd look at me, and I'd pull the little Pez head back, and the little Pez would come out, and they're like, and they'd start to laugh, and they'd take the piece of candy, and that was funny. Well, one little boy came up to me. He was maybe about 7 or 8 years old, and said, "You're not the Green Lantern. You're a girl." And I said, "Oh, well, I'm Haley Jordan. I'm Hal's cousin." He goes, "Oh, okay." Took a piece of the candy and happily skipped away. I guess that's just kid logic.
I mean,
yeah. And I know that the Green Lanterns have an oath that they have to say in order to get the power of the rings to work.
In brightest day and blackest night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power, Green Lantern's light.
Bingo.
Yes.
Yep. That's the oath. Yeah.
Technically, every one of the lanterns has a variation of it. I don't know all of them by heart. The Sinestro Corps is basically the reverse. It's like in blackest day and brightest night. But they're all related to what the Corps which each Corps stands for. So, like, obviously, fear for the Sinestro Corps, rage for the Red Lanterns. Greed, avarice for Agent Orange, so so on and so forth.
Yeah, there's said to be 10 of the. There's said to be 10 different Lantern Corps. Yeah.
Well, there's some subcorps as well. Like, so obviously there's within the Green Lantern Corps there's the Alpha Lanterns, which is like a subcorps. It's like their special forces.
Yeah. Hi, Emily Kruger. Oh, and by the way, Dark Hour, I did have Katie and Peter of Hold My DualShock on panel for 2 streams. The first was last year on the 12th of November, a week after Tony Todd passed away. 6 days after Tony Todd, the Candyman actor, passed away.
Yeah.
Well, And then the second one I had them on was for Legend of Zelda back in March 12th.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and I
Now,
was
see,
going.
you call him the Candyman actor. I call him a Klingon.
I think when I think of Tony Todd, I actually think of the Mortician from Final Destination, and that ended up being his final role. So
Yeah, he would have also been suitable for a villain in the Green Lantern universe too.
he just had a great voice, Tony Todd. He had a great
Yeah.
there's gravitas to his voice that not many people have.
Yeah, they're even including Michael Clark Duncan, who is also the voice of one of the Green Lanterns in the Ryan Reynolds movie.
Yeah, he was Kilowog. I actually have. Hold on, let me.
Yeah.
Hold on, I have it right here. I pulled some of my pieces from my collection. This is the first appearance of Kilowog right here.
Ah, very impressive.
And if you look closely, it's signed by Joe Staton, the guy who.
Huh.
I have a couple
Nice.
others here as well, but if they come up, I'll bring them up.
Oh.
So. Yeah, my Green Lantern's always been my favorite character. Going back, one of the first comics I ever read was a Kyle Rayner issue. I don't remember which one, but it was a Kyle Rayner issue of Green Lantern in like the 90s. So.
Yeah, that's cool.
You obviously know a lot more about Green Lantern than I do. I know. Why am I drawing a blank on his name now? The Deadpool
Hal
character.
Jordan?
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan
I know
Reynolds.
the Ryan Reynolds one. It's like, I think that was the first time I saw the Green Lantern films.
I feel so
the Ryan
sorry for
Reynolds
you.
one.
That's the first time you saw him. The first time your first experience with the character.
Yeah, that was my first Green Lantern. I actually liked it though, because I like his quirky humor. So to me, that made it, because he's got that quirky humor in everything that he does. I mean, it was like Deadpool, but in a Green Lantern outfit.
So Hal Jordan is supposed to be kind of a wise ass, but not on the level that they made him, unfortunately. That was one of the big issues. So
yeah,
Ryan Reynolds is really good at being Ryan Reynolds, which works well for Deadpool. But Hal Jordan is a little bit more serious than that at times. Honestly, I think he would have played a better Guy Gardner, which Nathan Fillion actually did a pretty good job in the recent Superman movie as Guy Gardner. But I think that would have been better suited for Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, that's true. But hey, at least they did a good job casting Michael Clark Duncan for Kilowog. I mean, Kilowog's like a bulldog that overtowers actual human beings. Big, bulky, and quite a strong bodyguard type.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's their drill sergeant. That's what his role is. He trains the lanterns. So when you get selected as a lantern, you obviously it gives you some of the knowledge, right? Because there is a level within the ring, a shared knowledge, so to say. But you obviously don't learn all of the abilities that you have gotten. So when you go back to Io, you get evaluated by the Guardians, and then if they say, okay, yeah, you can keep the ring, Kilowog basically is their drill instructor that gets you ready.
Yeah, it's important for them to have the strong sense of will in order to get the rings to work. Otherwise, it wouldn't work in their possession at all. I've seen that.
And Mark Strong. Sorry, go ahead.
I've seen that part where Hal surrenders his ring to Hector Hammond, who was under the infected influence of Parallax, who thought he could use Hal's own ring against him, but was proven wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say Mark Strong actually played a really good Sinestro. He just has, I've seen him on other things, and he always has this presence about him. So it's like, even under a ton of makeup and stuff, you just know it's him,
Yeah. Mark Strong, it's funny because a lot of people confuse him with Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, they do look alike.
Really?
You're right. They do look like.
Yeah, I mean, if you look up Stanley, if you put them next to each other, they're like they could be siblings that just happen to live in different countries. But Mark Strong, honestly, Sinestro is a very interesting character. I've always loved Sinestro as a villain because, first of all, I mean, his name is fantastic. Because, like, you know, the term sinister, a lot of people don't realize actually means left-handed.
Yeah.
Which he wears the ring on the left hand, because sinister people, like Dexter means right-handed, sinister means left-handed, and you know, Sinestro obviously starts out as a Green Lantern, quite possibly the most accomplished, but he's using it incorrectly. He's using it to essentially enslave his own people. He does it under the guise. He does it under the guise of, you know, I'm maintaining order through the like, you know, the will of the people is to maintain order. But really, he's breaking the rules without really telling. Hal Jordan's the one who figures it out.
Well,
Yeah.
guys, because I'm a lefty. I'm left-handed.
Yeah. Thanks for volunteering, 13 King. Yeah, it's good to have you on with us tonight. You can hear me, right, King?
You might need to change his.
Want you guys to finish your thoughts. I don't want to interrupt.
Oh, don't. Oh, no sweat. Anyway, what I definitely know about Sinestro is that before becoming leader of his own Yellow Lantern Corps, he in the comics is the one who trained Hal on using the Green Lantern ring.
Mhm.
Right before he betrayed him and the Lanterns, in effort of creating his own league, which.
So he didn't exactly betray them. That's sort of a way of putting it. So he had his way of doing things, and it was against the will of the Guardians, and they kicked him out. He had the Weaponers forge his ring out of basically necessity because he was no longer eligible to be a Green Lantern. Originally he didn't have a Corps. The Corps didn't show up until many years later in the Sinestro Corps Wars. For a long time it was just him, and because of the yellow impurity, he was essentially enough to take on any Green Lantern.
Yep.
Yeah, it's ironic because the color yellow is a weakness to the Green Lanterns. Even the original Green Lantern, Alan Scott, it was yellow.
No, it wasn't. That's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true.
No, I'm sorry. Wood. It was wood. It was wood. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was wood. My bad.
A lot of people. I don't
Green
really.
Lanterns.
It's funny because Alan
Let's
Scott has. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, I was gonna say. Les Call Trepicelli says Hal Jordan without his ring is in the character is most likely to slip on a bar of soap. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had Hal Jordan on the mind there instead of Alan. Alan's wood.
Yeah, it was Wood, and he eventually was sort of removed as a Green Lantern. He was no longer considered when the Silver Age rolled around and the Green Lantern Corps existed. They had to essentially rebrand what the Green Lantern was. So they turned Alan Scott became a character called the Sentinel, and he was he still had a lot of the same powers, but he was no longer considered a Green Lantern. Even though he was the one who, when Kyle Rayner took over, he had nobody to lean on. The Green Lantern Corps had been completely demolished by Hal Jordan. And so when he had to lean on somebody to understand, he would actually turn to Alan Scott to learn how to be a Green Lantern. So it kind of brought him back into the fold again.
Yeah.
You know what's cool about Alan is that he was created by co-creator of Batman, Bill Finger.
Yeah, wasn't he
really?
the original Green Lantern before Hal Jordan?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he
didn't wear Hal Jordan or the other Lantern Corps' outfit. He had the red outfit, as you see in the image.
Yeah, he was also a member of the Justice Society of America after watching the first 2 seasons of Stargirl and half of the third. Yeah, that's where I learned parts about him.
Once they basically had to, a lot of the early characters, the Golden Age characters, some of them obviously were redone. Obviously Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman all kind of re-emerged the exact same way that they went into the Golden Age. But when the Silver Age came around, they only renewed a few of those, and a couple of them were redone. The Flash specifically and Green Lantern were the two that were were changed over to different people, because it was Jay Garrick and Alan Scott. They basically became alternate dimension characters that would go on to be the Justice Society and then get folded in after the Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yep. Yeah,
I
that's
missed
true.
the Hermes outfit for Flash though. It looked pretty cool though, with the helmet.
Yeah,
They
the
should've brought it
Hermes
back.
helmet. Yeah. Well, I mean, they sort
Yeah,
of
the
did
Hermes
because
helmet with the wings.
Yeah,
Go
they
ahead,
sort
man.
of
Sorry,
brought it back
I interrupted
because
you.
he did come back. I mean, A Flash of Two Worlds, they brought him back for that crossover, and eventually the entirety of that Earth 2 was brought into Earth 1. So
Yeah. Yeah.
It would
Alan
be cool
Scott was
for
just
like
a star.
for at least an issue or something as an Easter egg. Barry Allen, or oh my God, Barry Allen and Wally
Wally
West.
West.
One of them wears the outfit, but they wear the Robin mask.
Oh, must be referring to Wally
They wear
West.
they wear the classic Hermes outfit briefly, but they
we're
wear.
losing him.
Oh,
I think we're losing him.
King,
Yeah,
are you
because
okay?
somebody's roboting.
mask
Yeah,
over their face, like
I think so. What he was saying was it would be a cool
Can you hear me
Easter
now?
egg. Yeah, now we can hear you. I think what you were saying was it would be cool if at some
okay.
point
I said it'd be a
Wally-
cool Easter egg. Wally
Yeah.
West or Barry Allen briefly dresses up in an issue as the OG Flash,
Mhm.
with
Oh.
the Hermes outfit, with a mask like Robin or Nightwing covering their eyes for obvious reasons.
Yeah, the
to not reveal their
masquerade
secret
style,
identity
yeah.
to the world. Yeah, they could do that, but I guess DC doesn't want to do that.
Well, right now they're doing the Absolute line, which is basically their equivalency of the what is it? The Ultimate line from Marvel, and they're doing some interesting stuff, but some of them aren't working. And I'm not really feeling the Green Lantern one too much. I don't know if anybody's read that at all, but
Come to the
I haven't
third.
yet.
Yeah. Here's John Stewart. Yeah. Ah, here we go. Here's John Stewart. You know, the
Mhm.
one of the other popular Green Lantern from the comics, who was selected to be the main Green Lantern of the animated Justice League shows, voiced by Phil Lamar, and is set to be the main character for Gunn's upcoming Lantern show.
Also, he was supposed to have his own show, according to a backdoor pilot from a Static Shock episode. Remember that, where he was fighting Sinestro?
Mhm.
He
Oh,
was the
yeah. I
I think it was supposed
it's
to be
the-
him and Hawkgirl. It was supposed to basically be the main characters
because
of the show.
the thing that was weird about it, technically, it has to be a backdoor because none of the other Justice League members showed up except for him, and the other Legion of Doom member besides Sinestro. That's it. Like, they were just fighting each other. So it's very strange. I think that was supposed to be his first episode, and the DC was like, no, we're not making a John Stewart series.
Yeah, John. Yeah, I definitely remember watching some episodes of the animated series, and John Stewart and Hawkgirl were lovers in that show.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Which is weird because part of Hawkgirl's whole thing is that her and Hawkman are always like destined to end up together and then die and then be reborn again. That's like part of their whole storyline.
yeah.
You know, Hal Jordan was supposed to be in the the DC animated universe's Justice
Mhm.
League before they replaced him with John, because it was going to be a cyborg, a female variant of Cyborg was going to be in John Stewart's place.
Whoa.
So they were at the last, because according to a pitch pilot, and you could watch it online, you see a female cyborg in it, and at the last minute said, no, we're just going to use John Stewart instead of Hal Jordan, the female cyborg, for for a black character. We're just going to do that.
Wow.
Yeah, that was.
Well, they eventually would
weird.
bring in Hal Jordan for some episodes in the Unlimited series, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, they did
It's been a long time.
as an Easter egg. Remember when they
Yeah.
went to the time travel episode, and it was like a
Mhm, and then he
negative-
turns
a
into
bad
Kyle
future?
Rayner. Yeah.
Yeah, he turns. No, I think it was Hal Jordan. He turned. John Stewart turns to Hal Jordan. It's like, "Hey guys, remember me?" And
No,
then
no,
he
I think it's Hal
disappears.
Jordan Hal Jordan then eventually turns into Kyle Rayner, if I recall correctly, because
Okay.
it's like basically time keeps shifting.
Yeah. And Wonder Woman disappeared as well. Like basically, it altered that future. It was like a bad future.
Oh, so Hal Jordan and Kyle Rayner are the same guys.
No, Kyle Rayner was his replacement. So when Hal Jordan went nuts after so basically after the death of Superman, Cyborg Superman, one of the replacements who ended up being evil, he destroyed Coast City, which was his where he was from. And it's essentially made Hal Jordan go nuts. He started rebuilding the city with his Green Lantern powers. And he was convinced that he could revive everybody if the Guardians gave him enough power from the power battery. So he started going around and started slaughtering members of the Green Lantern Corps, taking their rings, and eventually absorbed the power of the main lantern battery. And
Wow.
yeah, so the Guardians basically channeled what power they had into one last ring and sent it to Earth, and essentially just gave it to Kyle Rayner. It was just like, you'll do, here you go. And Kyle Rayner became the new Green Lantern.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, and while we're still, yeah. And are you also familiar with another lantern called Tomar Ray, who kind of looks like a bird and a fish combined?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tomar Ray is also one of the other lanterns, well known in the comics and in general. He appeared in 2011 Evans and live action film voiced by Pirates of the Caribbean actor Jeffrey Rush, if I'm not mistaken by name, of course.
I'll have to take your word for that. I haven't seen that movie in forever. So
Yeah, I haven't seen that in years, but my only problem with that movie is the suits should not have been CGI. It should have been actual suits that were great.
Yeah.
There was no reason for the
And
CGI.
then when-
They could have enhanced it with the CGI for the glowing.
They could have saved so much money, like the movie The Mask, like Jim Carrey's facial expressions and him putting on the fake teeth the whole time. It saved them millions of dollars in special effects.
Yeah.
If they would have just had green suits and then used the CGI for the rings, for the power rings,
Yeah,
then
exactly.
that would explain why they had to spend millions of dollars on fight scenes.
Yeah,
But they didn't do that. It's almost like
Yeah.
they wanted it to fail for some reason.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, you got a point there. They don't spend the money where they should be spending the money. They spend it on the stupid stuff. It's like, and this is why you guys go over budget.
Can you imagine Superman having a CGI suit the whole time instead of a practical like suit made?
Oh, yeah, I know.
They
what you
technically
mean.
did that with the Justice League movies, both of them, the Snyder cut and the Whedon cut.
Whedon mostly.
They technically had to CGI it because in the original version, Henry Cavill's suit was supposed to be black and silver, but they changed it and said no, we're going for the original suit, and then Snyder changed it back.
Yeah, because he was
So
originally
they
supposed to have his the suit that essentially is like aluminum foil that like supercharges him.
Yeah,
I know
And then
for
they just
the last
changed it.
Superman, they should have CGI'd his suit because what he was wearing did not fit well. It
Yeah,
was
I
too
know.
baggy. It looked horrible. I didn't see the film, but I
looks like a
saw
track
like
suit.
outtakes and
it
stuff.
looks like a
and
tracksuit.
Well, it's
Yeah,
because realistically, what we see there with Tomar-Ray, that no matter what your clothes, like I've done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 17 years, and even when you wear like full lycra, you don't get that kind of cut. Like no matter how good a shape you're in, clothes just don't work that way. They don't adhere to you like as if even the tightest of clothes do not adhere to you as if it's your skin. So they overly embellish these costumes a lot to try and make them look similar to the comics, and it just doesn't really work.
Wow. Yeah, I hear you. But also, there's also another character who I think. Yeah, and there's also another one I like to go through too. You're familiar with Jade?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
she was a
yeah. I
soldier
can't.
that had PTSD.
Hmm.
Yep. Yeah, and not to get her confused with Jessica Cruz, Jade is one who obviously turns her skin green when she while using the power of the Green Lantern,
Hmm.
and she's said to be a descendant of Alan Scott.
Yes, yeah. She's Alan Scott's daughter.
Yeah, 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 I know. Remember that.
In
Now,
fact, that's actually a storyline. I have it. It was like a three issue run where it was like Kyle Rayner. It's right there, actually. You have that's it right there. Kyle Rayner and her get together, and like Alan Scott is kind of against it. So,
oh yeah, yep. Fathers getting overprotective with their children and stuff. Yeah, I'm quite familiar with that kind of plot. Yeah, yeah. I'm not even sure if that ring she possesses, just like in the comics, is the exact same one that was worn by her father. But I take it that it's a different one.
It has to
no,
be.
because yeah, his is so he gets his power from the Star Heart. She gets it from the Lantern Corps. So
Yeah, because her costume shows that she's getting it from the core,
yeah.
so the
Wow.
corpse. Um,
She was so that era was a little weird. So a lot of stuff was going on really weird in the 90s for DC. They were trying to kind of update and reinvent a lot of characters, so they killed off certain ones or fundamentally changed others. Like that was around the time obviously Superman died in the 90s. He got better.
Yeah,
But
and they tried to
they
replace Bruce Wayne with John Paul Valley.
Yeah, I was going to say they broke Batman's back. It was a very dark era for DC, and they were trying to do a lot of different things, like a little too much at once. They eventually went back and redid it again. I think that was the Infinite Crisis, if I recall correctly, because they have so many crises. They have the Identity Crisis, the Infinite Crisis, the Crisis of Time, Dark Crisis. It's like
Yeah, yeah, which we're sure to go through later on. Wow.
But the Infinite Crisis was the one that actually revived a lot of the characters, like specifically like Jason Todd came back because of that and stuff.
And Supergirl. Wow. Yeah, there's a lot in the Green Lantern comics that is yet to be explored. Yet I'm yet to see more outer space exploration out of the DCU if we do get it. But also there's also there's also others like, let's see, there's also Jessica Cruz, who some
That
might
was about
confuse.
when I stopped. I didn't really read much of the Jessica Cruz era. That was kind of when I stopped.
I
Jessica
was
Cruz
interested.
was in the Justice League movie that the
Yeah,
DC animated universe one that Kevin Conroy was like one of the last movies he did before he passed away.
yeah,
Was that one?
yeah, voiced by the same chick who did one of the characters from the Doom Patrol show. Yeah, yeah, Jessica Cruz is one with quite a traumatic backstory, where she eventually gets possession of a ring years or days or even months right after two of her friends get killed by some thug out in the woods. And eventually she teams up with another lantern who is from the comics help help hunt down enemies that are foes of the Green Lantern Corps. And in one of the yeah, you're familiar with Simon Baz?
Yeah,
Mhm.
the one that's the Islamic Green Lantern, right?
Yeah. I thought he was African, but yeah, thank goodness.
Well, you
Yep.
could technically be both, but I don't think in this case he, as far as I know,
Yeah,
I could be wrong. I don't think he's from Africa.
yeah. Yep, she and Simon Baz has joined the Green Lantern Corps to work with the Lanterns to fight off intergalactic threats to the galaxy.
I like
And
his
they've learned,
mask.
yeah,
It reminds me like a luchador mask, like a pro wrestling mask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. His is probably the most unique because most of when they use a mask, generally they just use the masquerade. They don't use the full.
His-
A lot of
because
them
I
don't
remember-
bother.
It's weird because I remember
Hi,
the
Malty.
episode of Justice League when John Stewart got turned into a child. Remember all the other Justice
Mhm.
League members? He wore, I think, a luchador mask too. I don't think he wore the regular eye mask. He didn't.
Well,
Yeah,
John
he wore
Stewart like never wore it anyway. He didn't
yeah,
really
he
have any
didn't,
reason. Yeah.
but he did as a child, which was weird. He wore like a luchador mask for some reason.
yeah. You make a good point, King. It almost does look
Okay,
like
I'm loving the
luchador.
teddy bear there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what he's doing with that teddy bear.
I wish
But-
I could tell you more about him. By this point I was kind of checked out. This was significantly after, the Blackest Night storyline, which was essentially what led into, at least by Green Lantern standards, that led into the New 52 and all that. And I kind of checked out at that point.
Huh. Yeah, but also Jessica Cruz also has the glowing symbol of the lantern around her right eye. Any idea whether it's supposed to help her with concentrating her powers and firing it, and to help enhance her abilities of enhancing her will or something?
It could be that she has eye problems, or maybe she's using it like a scope for like a sniper, like an
Yeah,
attack with her power ring. Like it could be either
Oh,
or.
she's like the Bionic Woman, with that well, the Bionic Woman had the ears, but like she has
Yeah.
like a bionic eye or something.
They probably did that not to get sued by the creators of Bionic Woman, possibly.
Yeah.
So they said, we're going to
Well,
put
the
it in her
Bionic Woman,
eye.
it was her hearing, not her eyesight.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good point, Netters. Still, it helps bring some uniqueness out of characters.
it also looks like face paint, like war paint on her eye almost.
Yeah,
looks
that
cool.
too. Yeah, and I even got a comic where she interacted with Cyborg, the Starfire, and of course John Paul Valley himself inside one of the spin-offs to the DC comic storylines. Well, one where they were double crossed by Darkseid and ended up being out in an abandoned plant galaxy and stuff. Yeah, I got that from a comic store. And what do you suppose these are right up there? In these capsules. What?
So my guess would be, so for a long time, what they would do is when a Green Lantern died, they would basically memorialize their bodies,
Oh,
in basically freeze them in time.
oh,
My guess is that was whatever the version was for this particular run.
interesting.
Because I'm guessing this was probably Rebirth era. I think that's about when this happened. They may have abandoned the concept of, because basically what would happen is they would seal up the body in a green energy coffin, so to say, and it would get shot back to Io, and then they would basically they would immortalize them on Io. And I'm guessing that this is a version of that, but for some reason they've completely disintegrated. I don't know the specifics on this panel, so
I thought it looked like they were cloning them, like the best Green Lanterns that died, right? They have them on standby in case of an emergency situation. And then they put the power rings on them. I don't know if they could do that, but just looking at that image, it looked like that's why they have those pods there with all that liquid.
Yeah, it's a possibility, but it's weird because I don't think you would. My guess is that you wouldn't. Oh, nice. My
Yeah,
guess is
like
that you
what?
wouldn't. You
Yeah, I
wouldn't
just
have
got to.
the skeleton just show up without organs.
Well, maybe it's scientific space cloning. Maybe their version of cloning is different than what Earthlings in the DC universe thinks of cloning. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
just a guess
absolutely.
on my part.
Yeah, capsules could be used for a lot of things besides cloning, and I think Dark Hour just gave us another tip on what else they could be used for. Very interesting, very good insight, by the way.
No, thank you.
Yeah,
It's I of all the characters I've read over the years, I've probably read the most Green Lantern. So like when it comes to the lore and history of how it works, it's funny because I don't actively think about it, but then as I'm talking about it, it just all comes back to me.
yeah, yeah, and I've known Guy Gardner since watching Batman: Brave and the Bold back in 2009, where Batman was forced to team up with him and other incompetent Green Lanterns, along with a sneaky, treacherous Sinestro, to stop Despero from taking over the galaxy. He's quite a hothead and a comic relief type of character. I'll give you that.
He actually
I don't
started
know.
out in the comics as Hal Jordan's lawyer.
A lawyer, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow,
This
it's
guy?
ironic. Ryan Reynolds should have played Guy Gardner or Bill Burr in the movie. Should have, they should have had Bill Burr play him in a movie
Yeah.
with a wig, of course, because I don't think Bill Burr can grow his hair like that anymore. Unfortunately.
No, well, Bill Burr isn't funny anymore, so it
Yeah, but I'm talking about like 5 or 10 years ago when we had the real Bill Burr. I don't know who this Bill Burr is anymore. Like he's not Bill Burr.
Yeah, I've known him
He's done.
since the Mandalorian series, before learning that there was more to him than meets the eye. King.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Guy
Nothing
Gardner.
against the guy who played him in Superman, but I think a comedian that if they look decent enough and they go to the gym,
Yeah.
or you have Ryan Reynolds who should have been Guy in the first place, not
Yep.
Hal. It could have worked.
yeah, but he was I'm trying to remember exactly what he was like some sort of like lawyer for specifically for people in jail. It was like he was like or a counselor or something. I'm trying to remember because his backstory is he was like a college football player who got injured. I'm not sure if he was either a counselor or a lawyer. I'm trying to remember. And he had something, and he was basically he was that's how he got introduced to Hal Jordan. I'm trying to remember the exact specifics on it.
Yeah.
Also, I
Then
like
he would- you could-
Guy Gardner's
you could see-
outfit. Is
Oh, yeah, the
one of
jacket.
coolest. The leather jacket or bomber like jacket that he's wearing is pretty cool.
Yeah, he probably has the most unique of all of the Green Lantern costumes.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
that's kind of pissed me off because they didn't really do it in the Superman movie well. They it didn't look right. Like his hair they got correct for his origin, but I wish they would have used that, the iconic leather jacket style.
Yeah. This style.
And actually and make it an actual jacket. Don't CGI it, please.
Yeah.
That way you could have it in standby. And if he loses his powers, it just becomes a regular leather jacket, a green leather jacket. With
Yeah.
with black long sleeves.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they should have included this jacket too. That's another. Yeah, which is another issue the movie had, was with the suits. Which
By the
is
way,
not-
that was if you go back to that picture you're just on right there,
Oh,
the one that you just. I'm sorry, I was.
You know who could have
Um,
played Guy? The guy who played Johnny Lawrence on Cobra Kai. William Zabka. He could have been Guy.
hello, Draconis.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
I don't know what the
I
80s
don't like
hair.
the jacket.
Not that picture, the one where he was like in
Hello,
space.
Son Franklin. Yeah. Yeah. it's
I
a
know
shame
he's
they
a
don't
little
hold-
bit older. I know William Zabka is a little bit older now. Like he's almost.
He's not.
60.
I don't think he's much older than Nathan Fillion, though. I think they're relatively
True.
the same age.
Yeah, and also makeup and CGI. Make him look a little younger. They de-age him a little bit because it's a sci-fi superhero movie.
Yeah, I can't even tell what stereotype this version of him is based off of. Whether it's
Well,
kind of like,
he was just like a stereotypical
He's a hothead.
like 80s 90s douchebag. That's pretty much what he was. He
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
it depends on at what point he was in the comics is what they were making him out to be.
yeah, he kind of reminds me of Mo from the Three Stooges with that look. Yep. Wow.
What's the matter with you? Yada.
Yeah, what's the matter with ya? Yeah,
That
that hairstyle. Right
hairstyle. Oh my goodness. Sugar Bowl haircut.
there.
Yeah, he got
Yep.
the Beatles / Mo hair a little bit. Yeah, I could see that.
And the cut is really janky because it's not like it's a smooth Sugar Bowl haircut. It's all janky, like somebody cut his hair in the dark.
He
Yeah.
probably did it himself. I think that would be a funny joke. Yeah, I couldn't afford a barber. I had to do it myself.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't even remember what year Guy Gardner was introduced in, but was it really in the 80s or the 70s or the late 60s?
It was definitely the 80s because
Yeah,
he was
80s.
already Warrior. He was already Warrior by the time the 90s rolled around. So I'm going to say like 86. I'll look it up right now. I don't remember the exact year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the worst hairstyle for a superhero.
Bruce Campbell, if he was
Well,
younger,
he appeared at first in '68, but I think when he didn't become a Green Lantern until the '80s. That was what it
Yeah.
was.
Oh, yeah, good point.
that usually happens with characters. You know, kind of like Bruce Wayne's dad becoming Batman. Like he was introduced in the the 40s, the 30s and 40s, but
Yeah.
he wasn't established as Batman until the 2010s.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right, man.
Yeah, I can't believe they would just go and cast Nate Fillion for this character. I mean, you made him look more like Mo, who was overgrown with orange hair. I mean, wow.
Okay, so the
Which is-
'80s.
I like
The reason why '86 is standing out to me, that was the storyline with the Justice League International. So that was when he was part of that. Okay, so maybe it was the '70s that he became a.
And I like
Well-
Nathan Fillion, but it's like, oh gosh, I saw him in that, and all I saw was goofball.
No,
I could
I
not
get
take
it.
him seriously.
Sometimes you have a favorite actor that you like in movies or TV shows, and they're just not cast in the right role.
Yeah, this was not the right role for him. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
Nathan
Ryan.
Fillion can be goofy, but this was not the right role for him.
Yeah.
Like Ryan as Hal, he just didn't fit. And I like Ryan when he does certain movies, but he just
No, I
Yeah.
love him in
Hal
Deadpool.
Jordan. Yeah, as
Yeah.
Deadpool, he's great, but he just didn't fit Hal Jordan.
Yeah, and you know what's also weirdest thing, most, unusual member of the Green Lantern is a
Yeah,
planet. Mogo.
Mogo.
Yeah, Mogo.
One of the coolest members because he's literally a planet. He's so
Yeah,
huge, he's so strong.
Yeah,
That-
a heroic DC version of Ego, you might say too.
Well, Ego came later.
It's funny though. He was originally a gag character, Mogo, and the fans liked him so much that DC said, "Screw it, we're gonna keep him." He was supposed to be a one-off gag joke, and that was it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to return.
But he did.
Mogo was
Sometimes
not
those
sup-
are the best
but he did.
characters.
Yeah, and it's like, why not? If you can have talking animals be a part of the Green Lantern Corps, right? Might as well have a planet, right?
So, and he actually serves after the destruction of Io. He serves as the new headquarters, like a secondary headquarters, basically.
Yeah, that would definitely make sense. I mean, gotta have somewhere
Yeah,
for the lanterns to set up
Yeah.
shop.
And they can charge their rings without being attacked, and he has a force field to protect them, so it makes sense.
Yep. Force field provided to them by the planet itself. Very genius too.
Yeah, that's their base away from home.
Yeah.
away from
They
the
would
Guardians.
eventually. So it's funny because they did like a lesser version of that during the Sinestro Corps Wars. It was Ranks the Ranks the Sentient City, and it was basically a city that was alive, and it was basically the same concept again, just on a smaller scale.
Huh. Isn't that a city for the the Sinestro Corps?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Eh. Hey, if it ain't broke, right, don't fix it. So they just have a smaller scale version of it.
Yeah, Rank City. Yeah. And now we go to the Yellow Lanterns, aka the Sinestro Corps, led by Sinestro himself.
I like it as Yellow Lanterns because obviously Sinestro is going to be like, no, this is my group. We're going to call it my name.
Mhm.
It makes sense for his ego, but it's like, no, it's Yellow Lantern Corps because it's like, why would any of the other members besides Sinestro be like, yeah, I'm a Sinestro Corps member?
Well, because they view him as basically like,
Yeah, the
he
leader.
has it's a cult of personality thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I get
Cult
that,
of
but it just seems
personality.
it sounds like something like Lex Luthor would do. Yeah, I have my gang of thugs, and it's a corporation too. Something out of like pro wrestling, like Insanity. Like, yeah, we're a villainous group, but we also are a corporate entity.
Yeah, Sinestro is quite corporate when he's running his own corps. Using the yellow power rings of fear to make himself feel like he's invincible.
Yeah, he got his. Oh, go ahead. My bad.
As well as playing dictator everywhere and anywhere he goes. Yeah.
It's interesting that he got his powers through Parallax when they retconned it. When originally it was Hal who was Parallax. He was not out of grief, right? He became Parallax. Entity of Parallax did not exist. They retconned that just to save face for Hal to come back as a good guy later.
Yeah, that, and
Yeah.
they also tried to make it make sense that all of a sudden Kyle Rayner didn't have the yellow weakness anymore. So they tried to like retcon that into existence as well, because by this point, the yellow impurity was long gone when the Sinestro Corps came around.
Yeah.
It'd be a
Yeah,
cool
the-
idea to revisit that Hal Jordan basically becomes Parallax, but I guess he can't call himself Parallax anymore because Sinestro's Corps is basically Parallax.
Yeah.
So you'd have to call himself something else. if he
Parallax
becomes
is
a
quite
villain.
literally a member of the Corps. So
No, but I'm
Yeah.
saying like he would, Hal, if he ever becomes the evil version Parallax again, he can't call himself that because it
So
already exists.
the Sinestro, well, I mean, all of the Parallax, along with a bunch of others, are now just entities. So it's they just exist as cosmic entities. They're basically the DC equivalency to the Phoenix Force.
Phoenix Force. Yeah, but the Phoenix Force would definitely be a lot more powerful than the Sinestro Corps themselves, right?
Well, so basically, the each core has its own entity that it draws its power from, and Parallax just happens to be the one from the Sinestro Corps.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
Arkillo right there. He's he's like the Kilowog of the Sinestro Corps. He doesn't have a tongue, actually.
Second in command.
Wow.
His tongue was ripped out by Mongol.
Ooh,
Wow.
One.
Really?
no.
And then he wears it.
That's
He
good.
actually wears it around his Arkillo wears it around his own neck as like a reminder.
Oh God, that's cruel.
He laid
I was-
that's before it was ripped out.
Wow.
I guess he doesn't talk much, right?
No, he doesn't talk anymore after a while. He's just a big silent oof.
Wow.
So he's the strong silent type.
Yes,
By
which it doesn't really
default.
work. It doesn't really work when you're a drill instructor, though.
Yeah.
I guess he has to get one of those robot voice boxes or get a robot to translate what he's saying.
Yeah.
Unless he's what do you call it? One of those people that can push his thoughts into other people.
Oh, psychic.
Telepath.
telekinesis.
Yeah, like a telepath.
person. Telepath.
And it's like, do this thing, and it like roars in their head so that they have to do the thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Arkillo. What kind of animal do you think he was based off of?
Like
If
a
you were to
snake?
guess. Yeah.
I would say
Probably
He
like-
kind of looks. He kind of looks like a you know like a
Komo- he
venomous
looks like-
snake to me.
he looks a little bit like a Komodo dragon too.
That could
Yeah.
be too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Body
Because
of a
Komodo
dragon.
dragon, they look like a snake, but they have legs. You know.
Yeah.
Like I say, he's got the body of a bulldog.
Yeah,
Yep.
but also the head of a Komodo with fangs. Yeah, yeah. They had to use animals of different kind to help come up with each character design for each alien member of these corps.
And I'm
So,
for it.
I just want to answer Draconis's question. Technically, there's no most powerful Lantern Corps. The further from the middle you get on the visible spectrum, though, the harder it is to control. That's kind of how it works. So when you're the rage of the Red Lanterns is very very hard power to control because it's one of the hardest emotions to control in general. And then
Yep.
on the far other end of the spectrum was oh fuck my brain.
The red one, it's bloodlust, right?
It's a
Basically.
bloodlust. Yeah, basically it
can't
becomes
control
part
it.
of you. Yeah. And then on the other far end, it's the what is it? It would be indigo or violet on the other far end. Let me see. I haven't done my rainbow in a long time.
No, it's okay.
I think Violet's on the end.
Yeah, so that would be So the violet would be the star sapphires that we love.
What about ultraviolet? Because that's another one.
Well, the ultraviolets that's
Which is
like a whole
confu-
separate thing.
Yeah, that's confusing though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't even want to go into that stuff.
Okay, I get you. But what about the
Yeah.
white and black lanterns? Do you consider that to be a part of the?
Well, that's death and life, so those are like kind of impossible to control.
Okay.
Here's
Liza
another
Dark.
one. Larissa Drock.
Lysa Drak. Lysa Drak.
Lysa.
Drock.
Drak.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one
it's hard to
of-
pronounce. She's the like the bookkeeper.
Yeah, like kind
I've
of
never
like
seen
we
a
see in the-
bookkeeper look like that before.
kind of looks exotic too.
I think that's
Yeah.
the point.
Yeah, I've seen her in the animated movie from the 2020. You know where it features Jon Stewart as voiced by Hawkman actor Aldous Hodge, and that the villain was Hal Jordan possessed by Parallax, which kind of follows up with that storyline with Hal getting turned in and possessed by Parallax and wiping out the core. Yeah, she appeared as one of Sinestro's followers in the movie, and I have to say I'm quite impressed by her role as a female member of Sinestro's cause and stuff. I mean, what kind of stuff does she carry in those books?
It's the various legends of how people became members of the Sinestro Corps. Pretty much, she tells the stories of them. That's basically how it works.
I like how she looks like a vampire, female vampire, or
Yeah,
and Mrs. Adams from the Adams Family. Not an insult; it's a compliment.
Oh yeah.
I like the tribute. Wearing have the goth aesthetic to her.
Or the Lily Munster.
Yeah, Lily Munster as well. Like I'm pretty sure it's a tribute to the Adams Family and the Munsters as well.
yeah, yeah. Let's see. Anyone else? Let's see if there's any other. Oh, yeah. There was another female member of the Sinestro Corps we should take a look at before we move on. Before we check out Parallax, we should. Yeah, this one over
Sarge,
here.
just a question. Does
Caruso.
Silver the Hedgehog count as a Green Lantern, even if it's not really canon, even if it's like a one-off thing? Because they did show him he did do stuff as in that comic.
I mean, I count Duck Dodgers as a member of the Green Lantern Corps, and that was in a cartoon years
Okay.
ago. I would count
Because
that.
I'm okay because I like to think it is because it was approved by DC, right? And
I
Warner
think with
Brothers
any-
who own them.
I think with any Lantern Corps, even if it's like quote unquote non-canon, you could count it because it's the way it is. It's like a selection process. So I'm okay
Yeah.
with even like non-canon ones being counted.
Yeah, because I want to count that, but I don't know if you could due to the fact it's like a one-off or like a done with another party, and it kind of gets murky with is he, isn't he, or is she, isn't she, because of legal reasons.
Yeah, Carousel. Yeah, she kind of looks like a demon. Like she's kind of like the demon type of Yellow Lantern Corps. I mean, she's quite a scary one.
Yeah.
I mean, look
She
at
was. I'm trying to remember exactly, like her origin. 'Cause so one of the problems they added so many characters at the same time around this time that it became hard to like remember all of them.
Yeah, I know. The more you include, the harder it is to keep track.
I do remember. So she was like her village or something, her planet. I don't remember, was like slaughtered, and then she like wandered and became like a member of a cult. It was like a pack of like beasts or something like that. It was.
Oh, you mean like this?
There you go. Yeah, that's it. I'm trying. It's all coming back. I mean, you're talking about something I read back in 2007. So
Hey man, we can't remember every single detail. Like it's not bad.
Yeah, that's
There's a lot
one
of
way.
years. Like I barely remembered the Ryan Reynolds movie, and I think that's for the best that I don't remember it. It wasn't that good. That's probably a good thing that I got my memory wiped. Men in Black style, but I kind of got some of that memory back.
Yeah, and I can tell from what she went through, having survived a massacre of her own village, that would definitely make someone like her a worthy candidate to become part of the Sinestro Corps. Correct?
yeah. Actually, I honestly, she was probably more of a candidate for the Red Lantern Corps, but
Yeah.
Wow.
but
I
she,
think she should've
it
been-
elicits fear, so that's pretty much where that comes from. She doesn't like feed off of fear.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I can tell. And some of the other Yellow Lanterns can be quite scary. Like, I mean, you think she's the scariest of them all, or is there someone
No. Look up Creeb.
Creed?
Kyrb. Creeb.
I don't think I know that one.
Yeah, I don't know
Oh,
that
you-
one.
Creeb literally steals babies,
Wow.
like
Man,
terrified
like-
babies. Yeah.
Man,
Wait, does he
go to the
eat
picture on
them
the far
like
left there. It's a she.
does
think if I-
does he eat them off screen like the Titan
No.
did
No.
in Greek
So
mythology?
now, if you go back to the main page that you had there, a good picture was that far left one. If you go back to the no, go back one more.
Here?
Yeah, there, that one. Yeah.
oh,
Basically, it's unfortunately it's a small picture, but if you see she I
Wow.
think it's a she.
Oh,
Like
that's
kidnaps babies,
terrible.
like keeps them in like a
A
prison. On
cage. It's like a
Yeah.
cage thing.
my God.
Yeah, that's evil right
that's
there.
freaky.
Abducting babies.
My God. Yeah, you're right, Dark Hour. This is the worst of the Yellow Lanterns.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
Sinestro
one's,
is not. That's well. At least I'm not that bad.
like Creeb is quite literally like the stuff of nightmares.
Wow. Kind of like someone who's kind of like a breeding ground for Yellow Lanterns, who the thing itself abducts, or is it?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. So abducts the various and I'm trying to recall. I think they do use them to eventually become members. if I
So
recall
it's like
correctly.
Granny Goodness almost, where
Wow.
she basically and Darkseid taking children from other planets to indoctrinate them,
My God.
kind of like
Yeah.
that.
Wow.
There was one story I remember. There was like two Green Lanterns who were like a married couple, because eventually what it ended up being was every sector required two Green Lanterns, because originally it was one. And then she literally targeted like their kids.
Wow. And this man, she's cruel. Yeah. Now, I'm sure.
Ugh.
Yeah. And here's Parallax, as I can. Yeah. And now now we should take a look at Parallax. Hang on.
That you're gonna get the
You're gonna have
actual
to put-
definition of
Yeah, you're gonna have to
parallax.
put DC. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's Parallax. You know in the comics where it made contact with Hal Jordan and took him over. Yeah, it was in the 90s, correct?
Yeah, so it was in the 90s. But so originally Parallax was just a name taken on by Hal Jordan. They eventually retconned it into what you see in front of us now.
Yeah, they
Yep.
wanted Hal Jordan to come back as a good guy, so they had to say that he got possessed by an entity. To
Yeah, so
justify him
every one
doing
of the
bad.
emotions technically has an entity. I remember the red is the Butcher, orange is Ophidian, obviously Parallax is yellow, Ion is for green, because that one's easy to remember because it's Io.
And Predator's the Star Sapphires.
Not Predator, it's Pro. Oh, no, yeah, you're right, Predator. Yeah, and then there's the other one is Proselyte or something like that. That's for the Indigo tribe. And then I don't remember all of them.
So they basically pulled what Bobbity did in Dragon Ball Z with the magic spell possession thing, just with
Yes,
Parallax. Wow.
Wow.
I wonder if they took that idea from it, kind of like the fusion ring, like the Batara earrings, like with Batman and Superman becoming Superbat.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, and it's a pity. Yeah, and I'm sure very, very many people were not so happy with how they adapted Parallax in the movie and how different he was compared to the comics. Sure, he's an entity of fear. Sure, but yeah, they didn't make him look like this. I could see why. They
It would
truly
cost them a
never
lot of money.
Oh yeah.
They weren't spending the Disney money like to make him look perfectly detailed as a serpent dragon. They weren't going to do that.
Nope. They made him they instead made him a guardian of the galaxy who went rogue, and his name was they in the movie they made Parallax a former guardian a former guardian of the universe who went rogue.
So they just copied Sinestro's backstory slightly and mixed it in with Hal Jordan's Parallax story to create this.
Yeah, even though Sinestro. Oh, what's up, Ram? What got you spooked? Yeah, the cover was insane. Yeah, I can tell.
You know what he looks like? He looks like Nosferatu almost.
I was gonna say, does anybody remember what
Yeah.
Prometheus, when the one guy like became like a zombie thing? It kind of looks like him too.
Yeah, that too. But I saw him like it has to be Nosferatu, the big head like that. They just didn't color
Yeah, I
him
have
white.
to agree with you there. That does look like Nosferatu.
The original Nosferatu from the silent picture era.
Wow.
Yeah, the really creepy guy with the really
The
long
pasty
nails
skin
and all
and
that.
the pasty
Yeah.
skin and all that. Yeah.
Cynthia Erivo.
Well, if
I
they
don't-
did a movie or a TV show, she'd be perfect for that. But no.
Yeah. Yeah, this is who Parallax was before he became Parallax.
Oh, that's from the CGI animated series of Green Lantern that you got that image from. I wish that was good. Like I wanted to like it. I just didn't. It was kind of off-putting a little bit with the CGI. It's kind
Yeah.
of
So
like
I could
Beware the Batman. Oh, go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say I could actually tell you. So, uh, basically, I had spoken with the guy who invented Parallax. Well, Ron Mars. He was actually supposed to be on my channel. He's kind of a douche. He was supposed to be on my channel and like no showed and then like
Sorry
blamed
to
me.
hear that, man. That
Yeah,
sucks.
yeah. Which
Shoot.
sucks because he was like my favorite writer. I have like hundreds of signed comics from him, and it's like. I
Well,
don't
they
like
say
doing it.
don't meet your heroes for a reason.
I actually took a writing course with
Uh-huh.
him, so he was not only a favorite writer, he was like a teacher of mine technically too.
Oh
and,
no, even worse.
And but he hated what they did with Parallax because for him it was like that was his. They just let him kind of do whatever he wanted because Green Lantern wasn't selling well. So that's why he decided to go the route he did and completely, change Hal Jordan. And then
Oh, you mean
obviously
the movie?
they had to. No, I'm talking about in the comics.
Oh.
And to make him an evil and all that. So then when they eventually did make all of the entities and made Parallax into this like fear demon, I asked him once, I was like, what was your opinion of that? And he was like, it's stupid as fuck. It's stupid shit. And I was like,
Yeah, and
It's like, tell us how
Yeah.
you really feel.
yeah, Fear Demon.
It sucks that when you create something, you don't have the rights to it, so they do whatever they want. DC, Marvel, every comic company, so they can ruin your vision. And you can't complain about it. I mean, you can, but you can't legally say, no, I object to that. Because you
Yep.
don't own the rights to that character.
Also, how we come to Star Sapphire. The main one is Hal Jordan's
Yep.
ex-girlfriend known as Carol Ferris. Yeah, Carol Ferris.
Yeah, she worked with
She
him
was-
too, right? She worked with
Yeah.
him at the Air Force.
Yep, she did.
It's
Yeah.
weird in the Justice League animated series, they gave her a British accent. They didn't want any connection with Hal Jordan whatsoever. They left her ambiguous almost.
Olivia Diabo. Yeah, I know her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was weird because it's like they danced around. Oh, is she connected with Hal or no? They kind of made her almost like a different character. She had the same name, but she had a
Huh.
British accent.
Yeah, they appear. It appears they literally have in that anime show, but the movies and but the movies going forward and the cartoons going forward since 2011 brought her back to that cornerstone.
so I stepped away briefly, but I still have my headphones on. She wasn't just so she actually owned Ferris Air. That's where the company it was a private air company that Hal's father and then Hal eventually flew for. So that's how they know each other.
Yeah,
Originally. They were kids together.
yeah. Blake Lively appeared in the movie as Carol Ferris along with Ryan Reynolds, despite
Oh
the two being 10 years. Yeah, they were 10 years apart, and she was 22 when Ryan was around 32 or 33 of sorts.
Yeah, that's how they met each other. Now they're married.
Yeah,
And because of that issue that's happening right now, I don't know. I used to like Ryan Reynolds a lot more, but he
Don't meet your heroes, or in this case, don't.
Yeah, don't hear of your heroes of anything because he was like,
yep.
dude, I thought he was like the everyman, like he was like you and me, like oh he likes superhero stuff, he likes jokes. No, he's a douche.
I actually don't really know shit about Ryan Reynolds, to be honest with you. I don't really know anything about most actors.
He tried to pull. He pulled
outside
a
of Arnold
Rock.
Schwarzenegger. I don't know much about any.
Well, here's the
actor.
thing. Ryan basically, and this is heartbreaking to hear. You know, the original director of Deadpool, he got him fired because he wanted control over it,
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could see that.
which is
Ah.
terrible. And so that's what The Rock tried to do with Black Adam, but he failed. Ryan succeeded, and
Yeah,
now
I
he's
don't.
gonna. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
I'm
go ahead.
sorry.
I was gonna
My
say
bad.
I just don't. This is why I don't really pay close attention to actors. I try to separate them from their work. I just try to like, even when I talk about, like, probably the one I hate the most is probably Pedro Pascal for obvious reasons.
No.
Yeah,
And
I
I
get it.
I still try to judge his actual acting on the merit of acting.
Right.
Oh, wait, you're
You-
presuming that Pedro Pascal can actually act. He
So-
can't.
Well, no, I mean he can. He just chooses not to half
Yeah,
the
he
time.
phones.
just
Yeah, he
phones
phones
in.
it. He phones it in. Like depending on the
think that-
project.
I think that that's a byproduct of the fact that he's in like 35 projects at the same time at any given time. So he just like phones in half of them. But like if you go back and you like watch like when he was in Game of Thrones, he was good. When he's in certain roles, he's really good. And I feel like that's kind of like that. I'm good at. I try my best when I'm doing a review of something to remove my like I'll make the jokes. I'll do the I'll talk about the person and their what they do in real life if I know about it. But I always try to draw a line when I talk about the actual roles that they're playing.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
now he was really good in The Mandalorian until he took off the helmet. Then he became a douche.
Well, he started phoning it in as of the second season. Basically, he just didn't care anymore. The first season,
Yeah.
you could hear it in his voice. He gave a shit. And
Yeah. And one of the
But
most
that's the thing, is
heartbreaking
that's-
scenes was when he was in some village and this woman's telling him, "You don't have to go anywhere. You could stay here." And she starts to take off his helmet, and he's like, "I can't." And
Yeah.
he stops her, and it's like basically, "I have to be alone. I can't have this life that you want to give me." It was so heartbreaking. And then, like you said, after he just started phoning it in, it's like, okay, I don't want to watch this anymore. It's not the same show.
Now, as for Ryan Reynolds, I kind of always, and I said it earlier, he just kind of is himself in everything.
Yeah, he's like The Rock.
You-
He's like Dwayne Johnson.
go-
they phoned it
You
in.
go watch Green Lantern. You go watch, Deadpool. He accentuates it, but it's basically him. But you see him even go back to when he was in Waiting, the movie
Yeah,
Waiting.
he
It's the
also
same guy.
the National Lampoon movies where he
Yeah,
was Van Wilder.
same guy. It's
Same-
there's
it's
very
the same guy. Just the difference is he doesn't have superpowers. That's it.
it's just a flavor
He doesn't have the Deadpool
difference.
powers.
He's the same ice cream with a slightly different flavor on top of it. That's all it is.
One side
the
put
Star
peanuts on it
Sapphires-
and one ice cream. Oh, go
But
ahead, go
as
ahead.
for here, I was just going to say the Star Sapphires are kind of interesting because like their whole thing is it's basically weaponized love. That's the best way I could put it.
Yeah.
Lust, basically. They
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
can't say lust because it's for families, so they have to say
Yeah.
love.
Yeah. As said here, well, whatever you're up to, it can't be more important than saving a lost love. Isn't that what Star Sapphires are supposed to be all about? Coming from
Yeah.
Carol Ferris herself. Shame we never got to see that in live action, after what it became. But in the animated-
they're interesting in the sense that it's like they're perceived as evil a lot, but like it's funny because like if you think about some of the stuff that they do, that's one of the things I love about the Green Lantern corps, like the various Lantern corps, is that outside of pretty much the Sinestro Corps, a lot of them do have characters that are kind of ambiguous. They have like they can go either way in terms of whether they're being evil or good, how they're using the powers. It's there's really no way to manipulate fear positively unless you're Batman.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's the only way. But imagine him with a Sinestro Corps ring, though. The yellow lantern
He
ring.
rejected it. It tried to pick him and he rejected it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What wasn't he a Green Lantern briefly, too? Like he wore the Green Lantern
Yeah.
very
Well,
briefly.
that was
It
I think that
wasn't
was an Elseworld. If I recall. That was an Elseworld.
that was Blackest Night, right? Or am I confusing it?
No. In Blackest Night, he was a what the hell was it?
Oh my, yeah. I'm sorry, dude. So much lore, and this is good
Yeah.
because it's good to talk about this stuff.
So pretty much everybody got a Lantern Core ring in the Blackest Night storyline. I think he got.
Yeah.
No, he might
Yeah,
have been
Oprah Winfrey style. You get a ring. You get a ring. Everybody gets a ring.
Yeah. Some folks could easily confuse Star Sapphire with Huntress too, based on the mask and the outfit.
Yeah, I could see it. If you don't see the full costume, it could be Huntress a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, that too.
So the Star Sapphires are actually like the closest one in terms of their relationship to the Green Lanterns, because the Zamarons, however you pronounce it, they're basically offshoots of the Guardians. The ones who founded that corps are essentially like the sisters of the Guardians.
Interesting. Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah, and the Guardians were like, "This is a boys' club. Get out." And that's how they started the Sapphire Corps.
Yeah, it was basically they were sent away from Oa, and that was they started their own little group because they were too emotional. Essentially, that was the thought process, because the Guardians are always supposed to, like, they always try to judge everything with lack of emotion, and so that was the
We would have never gotten Parallax. Imagine if Hal accepted the Sapphire Ring. He would have not been over. He was emotional. He lost his family.
One of my favorite storylines ever was well, I guess it's part of a storyline, but it was during the lead up to Blackest Night, when all of the various Green Lanterns, they like lost their power rings, so they all grabbed different power rings. Actually, right there, it's if you look over to your right, that's Kyle Rayner with the blue Lantern ring. That's the exact picture right there. Perfect. That was great. Yeah. So Guy Gardner becomes a Red Lantern, obviously, and then what was it? The
Al with the yellow.
Is
and
that
they
a reference?
recreated. Go ahead.
No, is that a reference to the Injustice game, or was that before Injustice? The
This
video
was,
game?
I think, this was before. This was
and the
before
comic,
Injustice. Like,
the prequel comic, because I remember.
Yeah,
him
this was
wearing...
before Injustice.
Okay, because I remember reading.
They actually, what they did was they recreated the legendary cover of him wearing all the rings. It was what was that, 48, I believe, or 49, Green Lantern 49, where he has like all the different power rings, and they just did it with all the yellow ones. But he actually had a lot of trouble using it, because all of them actually had trouble using the various rings, except for John Stewart. His was pretty easy because he just like turned it all, as you can see, just turned it into a bunch of weapons.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I saw that with Hal in the animated movie where he used multiple rings at once. Now,
Also, my first Green Lantern comic was when it was like the Corps group together. It wasn't like Hal Jordan or John Stewart going on separate adventures or being a part of the Justice League. I watched the cartoons when they were on their adventures.
yeah. And here are members of the nefarious Red Lanterns were introduced in 2008.
That looks like Carnage.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
That's Atrocitus. Yep.
Yeah, Atrocitus.
Yeah.
I
Quite a
don't know much
ferocious
about
one.
the red ones.
And Dexstar right on his shoulder there.
You mean the cat? Yep.
Yeah, Dexstar has one of the most one of the saddest backstories, actually. So his owner was like murdered, and he was thrown in a river before he died, the Red Lantern ring, found him. And he basically, his whole thing is that he is fueled by his the rage that to avenge his former owner, basically.
Yeah. Right. Yep. Vengeance is what leads to anger and rage. And
They
that's what leads to the red rage.
to this day, I'm still pissed off because they were really hardcore setting up for a Dexstar versus Crypto like storyline, and it just never happened.
Oh, that would have been a cool idea.
Yeah.
They
It
should have
could've-
done it.
Yeah, and it would have been perfect. And if Gunn were to get away with this could have been something he should
And
have.
and this would have
Never
been a
mind.
cool idea for like a spin-off series with the animal DC characters with Crypto. And you might as well add Sparky from the cartoon. Like every animal, even Duck Dodgers and Silver the Hedgehog, if they can get the rights from Sega to lease out. It's just them. It's just all the animals, alien animals, even like just animals, and they duke it out.
Yeah.
And no human characters except for cameos. They don't appear. Really
Yeah.
cool idea.
See, that's
Yeah.
the thing. The fans come up with the best ideas, and they should actually be asking the fans, "Hey, what do you think? We should do with this and that and the other, and which direction do you think this should go in, and should we do this?" Oh, just go to any of the forums where fans are talking about different things, and they would get so many great ideas, but they don't do that.
Because imagine Bat Dog or Ace the Bat Dog.
Yeah, Ace the Bat Dog.
You have him fighting crime, fighting like basically like a Justice League version with just animals fighting the Legion of Doom version of animals. Have Joker's hyenas representing the Joker and Harley Quinn. I don't know what
Wow.
Lex would have. I guess he'd have like, I don't know, some
Orange.
strong animal that he would get like illegal, like a tiger or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And here's one. And here's some. Yeah, these red lanterns are even more intimidating than the yellow ones. I mean, some of them have teeth, especially these two over here. Hager with the 6 eyes total, and up there, Zelia Zox with the big head and the big teeth. And that's freaky too.
Yeah, he almost looks like a planet, but also he reminds me of oh my god, I literally forgot his name.
MODOK.
Bodok,
You mean
yeah, from Marvel. From Marvel.
Yeah, I know.
The only difference is he looks more like a planet here, and he looks like he can bite your head off if you let him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and you've also got Blue.
If I recall correctly, Hagar was the one who actually captured Sinestro during the war, because he eventually got captured and like tortured. I think it was Hagar
Wow.
who actually did it.
Really?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember because it was. I know Bleeze, the one above, like the one that kind of looks like a bat, like a demon bat,
Yeah.
slightly up. So she was like basically like an angel princess that was like captured by the Sinestro Corps and then tortured, and the R word that you can't say on
Yes,
YouTube.
on YouTube. Yeah.
And so like in response they basically did it back to the Sinestro Corps.
Yeah, she's kind of like Harley Quinn with that mask on and her looks.
She looked like she could fit in a Batman comic or in a Batman verse. Like
Yeah,
Yeah, so
and
originally
the
she
ring-
looked like an angel. She had like the feathery wings and all that, and and then after once she became a Red Lantern, she like shed all of her beauty and like just became what you see there.
Wow,
wow.
that's cold.
They should do a comic where she gets her beauty back, like reverse, and then she gets a Green Lantern ring.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But there's also another one called Vian. The blue one on the lower right with the big eye. Yeah, that one's kind of creepy eye looking too.
I love these art designs. They make them so like unique in their own way.
A lot of-
Yeah, they
A
do.
lot of these were designed by Ethan Van Sciver.
Really? EVS?
Yeah, EVS is
Wow.
was really the guy who did a lot of this.
That's cool because he also worked on Batman too, so it makes sense for her design. It makes
Yeah,
Yeah, I
sense.
actually have. That's another one of the comics I actually pulled. Like, hold on, where is it? I'll show it. So this was basically the one where all of them were introduced. It was the end of the Sinestro. My like light is kind of catching on, but
Wow.
and it's signed by him. This is a special. This was like the limited edition cover, but this was where they almost every member, like all like what was it? Atrocitus, like all of like the leaders of the various corps were kind of debuted in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I like that
Yeah.
they introduced multiple Lantern Corps because it's just kind of boring with just green and yellow duking it out with each other.
Well, Star Sapphires had existed forever too. They just were never. It was so those
Oh, yeah,
three
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
Star-
existed.
Oh yeah, Star Sapphire. Sorry, I literally forgot that briefly. But I like that they introduced more concepts of colors because it kind of comes off as like either like Power Rangers or kind of like like the chakras and stuff like that. Like you
Yep.
have
So the-
different colors. to
Yeah, the
represent
Red
them.
Lantern Corps kind of arose from. There was the massacre in the home sector of 666. That was Atrocitus' home sector.
Makes
And
sense.
Basically, everybody was killed, and that was what fueled the Red Lantern rage.
yeah. Yeah. Deaths, loss, and wars can definitely fit anything that can fill the rage up. Yeah. Rage is definitely something that is considered an enemy of will and peace. And it's an enemy of hope too.
If they ever
Yeah.
did a crossover comic and Vegeta didn't turn good for Dragon Ball Z, he could have been a Red Lantern. All that bloodlust. He would have.
Oh yeah, I would
been heavy.
definitely say if like you were taking like DBZ characters, you would definitely put Vegeta in the Red Lantern Corps. Obviously,
what would Goku be? Because it's
Goku
kinda
would be a
hard.
Green Lantern.
Okay.
No, Goku would be a Green Lantern. He's
Yeah, 'cause I'm
he's a
like-
very hopeful person. So
Because if he turned Super Saiyan, I'd say a little yellow or a little red because he had that blind rage.
you're allowed. So here's the thing: is as a Lantern, you're allowed to dip into the other, emotional spectrums. You're just not allowed to like live in them. Basically,
Okay.
you don't.
Gotcha.
Yeah, hope. Which brings us to the next lanterns to cover, which are the blue ones. Blue lanterns. Yeah, the Blue Lantern Corps, the Corps of Hope. Led by Saint Walker. And another called Brother Worth, Brother Hin, and Sister Cece. Wow.
So actually, I just realized my mistake. I said hopeful. I meant he has a lot of willpower. But actually, theoretically, you could put Goku in the Blue Lanterns as well. He kind of like would. I feel like he would
Yeah.
kind of skirt between the two.
Okay.
Yeah, he would work. Yeah, based on what we're seeing from
Because
how these are adapted.
Vegeta's either red or yellow. Because he's okay with fear. He clearly.
I wouldn't.
has-
I don't think he'd be fear. I feel like he would be just pure. He's very much
Rage.
fueled by rage. I don't think he's really fueled by fear.
Yeah, but when
you know.
he fights, he wants his enemies to be afraid of him. Well, before he became a good guy. Now it's like, yeah, you're right. It's just rage.
Yep. Yeah.
Gohan
Yeah.
would definitely be green, though. Would definitely be green.
Yeah.
Now I'm like trying to like place multiple characters. Like, I don't even know if anybody could be orange. Like, I don't know who would be like greedy. Like,
Oh,
Master
he's
Roshi would be green.
no,
So
Master
he'd be-
Roshi is lust. He's got to be a Star Sapphire.
I don't think he legally can be a part of that group. They would beat him up or they would kill him if
Well,
for
for
even
green,
trying
you
to
can always
consider
have a-
that.
for greed, you can always have a Ferengi.
Well, that would be now we're crossing over all sorts of. Now
Yeah.
we're everywhere. We got.
Yeah, because to Master Roshi, that'd be heaven. It's like, really? I get to be a part of the bunch of babes?
I get to just be in. I just get to hang out with all these women.
This is a
Frank,
yeah.
dream come true. Pinch me. I think I'm dreaming. No, it's real.
It's funny because that reminds me of there was a game I used to play years ago. It was Birth of the Federation. It was like a turn-based Star Trek game, and when you were creating trade routes, if you were the Ferengi, you got to create trade routes with people who didn't even have treaties with you. You could just start a trade route with them, and so basically you get a one-sided trade route, and that was like their special ability.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and the Blue Lanterns came head to head, face to face with the Orange Lanterns, whose power is based off of that of avarice, aka greed. Yeah.
So there's only actually one Orange Lantern now. There's only one. It's why he's Agent Orange.
Yeah, Laris. Yeah, the entity of the greed.
Yeah.
Yeah, said to be called Larafes.
One of the greatest things, I think it was in Brightest Day specifically, when he discovers Las Vegas. It's basically he wants to make it his like new headquarters.
Yeah, hopefully they hide Atlantic City from him too, because that would be his second base of operations. The East Coast would be Atlantic City. The West Coast would be Vegas.
I'll never forget. I'll see if I can find that panel. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Larfleeze discovers.
Larafes, yeah. Yeah, this is who you're referring to, right?
Yeah, he basically so that by the nature of Agent Orange, you kill off everybody else who like has it basically because you want it for yourself.
Yep, greed.
So basically, Highlander style, there can only be one.
Yeah, basically.
Very much so. Yeah, and he kind of looks like a baboon with that look. You know.
He also looks like the Predator without his mask on, almost.
A little bit, yeah.
A little
point.
bit, not fully, because it's like a mixture between like a reptile and like a chimp, like a baboon.
He kind of if you look, if you get a close up of him, he kind of looks a little bit like Beta Ray Bill, just with like that. This actually would be it.
You mean with the snout?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that too. Wow.
It kind of came off a little Predator vibes, but yeah, I could see the ape thing as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's only missing the dreadlocks. That's all.
Yeah, that too.
That's it.
Yeah, and I can't even recall if the original Predator from the 1987 movie had dreadlocks or not.
I think he did because they remember. I don't know if people know this, but
they connect
John Claude Van Damme technically was the original Predator, and he's still in the movie as the cloaking version of him. That's John Claude Van Damme. He's not credited in the final version of the movie, but that that cloaking thing, that's John Claude, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, you can actually see if you look closely, you can see that the outline doesn't match up with what would eventually be the main one.
So John Claude could say that he was the original Predator, technically. He just wasn't credited.
Definitely original. So that's all. So he's the only one. Only one out of many that are considered to be lost souls of people who died because of greed. Wow.
So here I found the. Let me see if I can. See if I can just download the image and then show it. Let's see. No, okay, I'm gonna have to.
Would Frieza be greed then? By that logic, or would he be?
He might. He's kind of driven by fear, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Not only because he's driven by his own fear too. If you
Well,
think
he's
about
afraid
it,
of he's afraid of Majin Buu and Beerus. Well, at least the
he's
retcon
afraid of
version.
anything that can. He's afraid of anything that could challenge his authority and challenge his power. So,
Yeah,
and also
so-
he governs through fear. So he's probably the best for Sinestro Corps.
Yeah, but
Wow.
Sinestro is like watching him constantly. Like, I better keep a close eye on him. He might backstab me.
Yeah.
Probably will. Well, that's
Yeah.
kind of one of the things about like a lot of these cores is they're self-fulfilling prophecies. So most of them, at least the evil ones, require kind of like a power dynamic, almost like the Sith Lords, where it's like you build you build your way through the ranks by being more powerful than the one ahead of you, and kind of either letting them die or killing them off.
Yeah, or you control them like a dog, basically, like a chain
Yeah, that too.
on him. Like that's what happened with Darth Vader. That's why like his suit was weak on purpose. He could have had an evolved suit. He could have had skin graft on him, but Palpatine didn't want that because he was going to take over. If he did, give him
There,
the
I
best
found.
health care.
I just shared the image of Larfleeze in Las Vegas.
Oh. Wow.
Quite
Interesting.
literally, I'm pretty certain it was. I'm pretty certain it was in Brightest Day. They find him in Las Vegas because it's just the place that makes sense for him to be.
Wow. Yeah. Was he after everything?
Yeah, well, he just realized that it was like, it was the place to go if you're greedy, basically.
It'd be funny if they did a panel of him winning, right? Or an animated series where he's winning, right? And the deal's like, who's this person
Wow.
with a hood over his head, right? I think he's a little bit
Amazing.
too much winning. They check on
Yeah.
and they run away because they're scared of him. Like they never.
Yeah, 'cause he was an
see
Well,
him.
I mean, you got to remember, this is DC. They see weird shit all the time. To them, this is normal.
Okay, but it'd be funny that like this animal alien thing that they're scared. Like, what the hell is this?
Like, could you imagine living in a comic universe? Just all the weird shit you see on a daily. Probably the best way that ever did that was Metro City. It's a comic by Alex Ross, and Alex Ross did the art for it, and it was Kurt Busiek, and it was basically like there's a lot of issues where normal people just have to live amongst these crazy happenings of superheroes, and they're just like they just walk into work, and there's just super powered battles going on behind them, and they're just like headed to work.
Yep. Yeah. Quite fascinating. But there was also another person who was said to have used the power of an Orange Lantern, and he's been around since the beginning of DC Comics, who has been serving as the main adversary of Superman. Yeah. Let me bring the screen up.
Oh yeah, that was briefly. So the Lantern Corps have the ability to basically imbue people with power temporarily as essentially like champions, and Lex Luthor was chosen as Agent Orange's.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it makes sense though. He's always been greedy.
Yeah, greedy for power and control. Because when it comes to billions, you certainly can't stop when it comes to. Yeah, it makes you want to go for more.
Yeah, but if he can't control you with greed, like bribing you, he'd use fear. He'd use goons.
Yep.
So he'd have yellow and orange if the time suits him, right?
Exactly. Yeah, literacy. Yeah, it's incredible that that he would manage on his own as the sole physical Orange Lantern of the Corps, along
He's
with Lex.
basically a Ronin. He's a warrior without a master. He is his own master.
Yep. That's a
Yeah,
good way
his core is literally just made up of projections, basically. Ones he creates.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's incredible that he was able to put up a fight with the Blue Lanterns with his own projections. I mean, you wouldn't. I mean, you got to wonder how much power he would have to possess in order to pull off such a stunt. I mean, one lantern, being able to generate an army of others like him. It's amazing. Orange Crush.
It's kind of like
Bottled
it's like he's doing a shadow clone, but with his ring though, shadow clone jutsu from Naruto, and they're like they're physical manifestations. Like it's not like you hit them and they disappear immediately. You have to keep fighting them.
Exactly. Gotta keep fighting. Yeah,
Because it's
ingredients
not an
they want-
illusion. Because it's not an illusion. They're physical manifestations.
Yep. Thanks for. Yeah, and thank you, Bram. Yep, I sure am. Yeah. Now let's take a look at the Black Lantern Corps.
That's
You know.
death.
Yeah, that's basically that's how they revived a lot of people during the Blackest Night.
Yep, the Lantern Corps of the Dead, or the Undead. Yeah, it's quite freaky too.
It's cool.
Yeah, so they were introduced in the conclusion of the Rebirth comics, right?
No, it was the Blackest Night storyline. It was toward the end of the initial. So New 52 came right after Brightest Day was over. It was weird because Green Lantern was essentially allowed to, because Jeff Johns was taking over and Green Lantern was his baby. It was essentially allowed to continue the storyline as a soft reboot, whereas everybody else got a hard reboot for New 52. It was very weird.
Yeah,
so
it
basically
is.
so it's a James Gunn situation where like Peacemaker technically got a soft reboot because
Yes,
he's
yeah,
still
very
continuing
similar.
it. Which is weird because people say Superman is the first, of this new DC universe. It's not. It's actually Peacemaker and / the Suicide Squad.
And Creature
Yeah.
Commandos.
Oh yeah, and Creature Commandos. All those three are the building blocks of this new universe. It's not Superman, even though he has to say it in the marketing. Oh no, it's Superman. Superman starts this new adventure. No, he's dances around it so people don't call him out on it.
Even says it in the story that it's right in the beginning. They say that there's been superheroes around for 300 years. So like, it's very clear that this isn't the start of anything.
Yeah, because for him to rectify it for season 2 of Peacemaker, for them to explain it is that the Peacemaker that we see for season 2 is another universe one, and there's various versions of the Peacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
So the non-Henry Cavill DC Universe one, that's him. And then there's an evil version of him, like full
Yeah.
evil.
Yeah. Bizarro or Ultraman. But then again, this one is called Necron, right?
Yes, yeah. Necron is the entity of death.
He looks like Skeletor with a flame mohawk on him.
A little bit, yeah.
He looks pretty cool with that design.
So
Yeah.
almost a lot, like basically all of the Black Lanterns were just whichever heroes either died during or were already dead.
So a villain can't be a Black Lantern, right?
No, it can. Anybody could be a Black Lantern technically. It just had to be someone who was dead. I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember.
They could have brought back Jason Todd with that. Like he's just a zombie. He's a Black Lantern. But then
Yeah,
Well,
that's
Jason Todd had already been revived during the.
no, but in
Infinite
another continuity, I mean, like in another universe, like if they were gonna bring back Jason Todd without the Lazarus Pit,
Yeah.
they just use a Black Lantern ring.
Yeah, and the power of Necron's grasp too. Yeah.
There's not really much to say about the Black Lanterns. It's just they just revived a bunch of characters. There wasn't anything like really.
They're just a
about
zombie
them.
group. That's all. But
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, but pretty powerful too, right?
Probably the most OP in terms because like it's just reviving dead. So like it's just it's the same thing as like anytime you have like a zombie army or anything, it's basically an infinite supply. The thing that comes to mind is the undead in the Warcraft
Imagine
universe.
imagine reviving Superman before he resurrected from Death of Superman. That version of
Yeah.
how powerful he would be with his ring.
Technically, Superman never died. He just
Well,
went into basically a deep coma.
if they didn't retcon or, you know, be in the coma situation, imagine he died and they just gave him the ring. How strong
Oh, I
he
mean,
would be.
well, I forget which Superman that is right there, but there.
I don't think it's Death of Superman. Superman. I think it's
No,
another
that's. I
Superman.
think that. Well, I know that Superboy Prime was, I believe, a Red Lantern, and then there was no, that was Cyborg Superman was a Red Lantern. No, Cyborg Superman was a Sinestro Corps member. A Red Lantern was Superboy Prime. I think that's how it was.
It makes
Okay,
sense
'cause I was
because
gonna
he's
say I remember the Death of Superman, so it's like there was
it
a whole big
makes
comic on it.
it makes sense though that Superboy would have red because he's half of Cal and half of Lex, right? It's the clone Superboy.
Well,
right?
Superboy Prime was a different continuity. That was the one
Oh.
from
So it's not the Lex clone. It's not the
No.
half Lex and okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's real. Yeah, it's quite fascinating that they know which aspect to base each colored lantern ring off of based on. Well,
Mood.
yep, mood.
Orphan Zane is correct. Yeah, if you were anybody who had experienced death, you could become a Black Lantern as well. That's one of the reasons why so many were chased down.
Yeah, Doomsday Rectum.
Yeah. Yeah, Doomsday wrecked him, but if he got that black ring, the moment he died or not get into the coma fully, he'd be dead. They just
Yeah,
put the
that's
ring
true.
on him.
And now for the White Lanterns. Yeah. Yeah.
The embodiment of life.
Yep, life. And black being the embodiment of death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Black and
balance
white.
each other out with life.
One
and
of the
death.
most powerful White Lanterns being Swamp Thing, of all things. They don't show it in that picture, but
What, by that logic, would that mean that Poison Ivy would? No, she wouldn't be a White Lantern. Even though she grows plants, she brings life. She creates life. She's too.
well, what is it? She's not one with the green like Swamp Thing. Like Swamp Thing is actually
Okay.
connected to the green sentience.
Because I thought in
of
some,
life.
I thought in some continuity she was, like similar to Swamp Thing, but I
Somewhat.
some continuities. I'm not saying the main one. Obviously, she isn't.
Yeah.
It's hard. Honestly, one of the hardest things about DC is trying to remember which things happened where
Well,
in like
well, it
which
make-
continuity.
Look,
Yeah.
there's a lot of Green Lanterns, like Alan
Yeah.
Scott, right? There's various versions of him. You know, ones where he has a family, and one where he's not having a family,
Correct.
and he's not married to a woman.
That's right.
They changed him,
Yeah. Went
which
too
doesn't
far
make
right.
sense because you have a family. How do you not like women anymore? But that's here nor there. But whatever.
Yeah, that's the management responsible for that decision to falsely course correct. Should have just left them alone.
Because it just didn't make sense. His son also didn't like women, and I don't know. There's weird continuity issues with DC for certain things. They
Yeah.
pulled a Iceman from Marvel. That's their version of Iceman.
Mm-hmm.
They changed him, but not for the better, because he was mind controlled.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I like the color, like how they make the white pop out with the light.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. Over the years of having Green Lantern comics and graphic novels, they're probably the most colorful, and that's probably by necessity. But they're some of the most colorful comics of all time. You know, like you as soon as you open up any Green Lantern issue, you're going to be hit in the face with green, obviously. But like if you read the Blackest Night and Brightest Day storylines, they are some of the best usage of color you'll ever see. The various gradients
because it pops out. It draws you in. You know, that's one thing that I learned. Like when they do that, they're telling the viewer without telling them, like subliminally, come and read the comic. Read it.
Not only that, it's you can the thing about a lot of the later stories, the Blackest Night and Brightest Day runs, you can almost read them without reading the words because the colors almost do the work for you. It's like you know what, because you know what they represent by that point.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see the Green Lantern logo so many times. It's like, yeah, they're Green Lanterns.
Yeah.
That's Sinestro Corps.
Exactly. Wow.
You know, fun fact. There was a pro wrestler who went by the name the Hurricane. He took inspiration from the Green Lantern comics.
Gregory Helms.
Yeah, Gregory Helms, or Shane Gregory.
Shane
Helms.
Helms is Shane Helms.
He had to change his middle name because, to quote him, only Shane McMahon could be Shane in WWE, according to Vince McMahon, which was stupid. But when he loved comic books, and one of them, he has a tattoo of the Green Lantern logo on his arm. He's a huge comic book fan.
Also a former student of Ron Mars.
Oh.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
That's how I found out about the class with Ron Mars was because I followed Greg Helms for years.
I like Greg Helms. He made the superhero gimmick work so well. You can do that in pro wrestling. You can do that.
Yeah.
I love to this day one of my favorite, like him as the reporter is one of my favorite things. I don't know why the Summoned Skull and the Luster Dragon #2 are on the or on the #1 or on this, but
yeah, it's fan made, obviously.
Yeah, I myself.
One of my favorite things is like when he would do like the reporter stuff, or like when him and The Rock had their like brief feud. And like The Rock like opened up his dressing room, and Hurricane was just hanging out in there waiting for him. Like,
remember when Chris Jericho urinated in Regal's tea and he drank it, and then Hurricane?
Yes,
in? That was so hilarious.
Chris Jericho is my all-time favorite wrestler. Met him on multiple occasions. He's a very, very like. He's a weird guy, but like in a good way. Like
yeah. Well, you kind of have to be in that industry. Like you have to be in a good way. You have to care about yourself and want to push yourself as a character, because you don't, you're not gonna last.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be cool. It'd be cool though, if Shane Helms wrote a comic on one of the Green Lantern stories. I don't know if they'll ever allow him to do that.
It's hard to like get into DC and Marvel nowadays. It's like really difficult.
Because Kevin Smith can do it, and then he made Batman pee himself on his first. I did not like that. Why would you do that? Why would you? Year one, his first time as he pisses himself. Why?
Gee, yeah.
Why? That's just bad writing.
Come on, Kevin Smith. You could do better than that.
Yeah.
You could do better than that.
Yeah, I can see why WB didn't bother going for full steam ahead with the Superman Returns sequel with him at the helm, because he didn't have the proper quality to actually direct a live action superhero movie at such a dark tone like DC.
Yeah, he probably would have put a bunch of jokes in there. And I like Kevin Smith. I like Clerks. I like Mallrats. But he would have.
I've literally been to the Clerks store.
Dude, that's awesome.
I used to live not far from it.
Is it true though that when they shot the movie, right, they had to shoot it at night because during the day they had to have the store open.
Well, they
right?
had to shoot it during off hours, so sometimes it was early morning, other times it was.
That's why they did it
And
in black and white too. Besides cost cutting measures, right?
it's also a very, very small store. I mean, like it is tiny. It's like even by convenience store standards, it's very small.
Yeah,
I did.
very true.
I did like that he created onomatopoeia for Green Arrow, and then he put him in Batman. He was a character that just said sound effects of what he was gonna do to attack or kill you. Like if it's a gun, bang, bang. With a knife or a sword, slice, slice, or stab, stab.
Hmm.
That's an interesting
Hello,
concept for a character.
Hello, Ejecta.
Hey, Ejecta.
Yeah. Yep, it's been quite fun. Yeah, I'd like to see if there's more to cover before we wrap up. Wow. This
Do
stuff.
we count ultraviolet or we?
Oh, ultraviolet. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Better do that before we wrap up, guys. So let's go to ultraviolet. Yeah. Let me just get that up. And here we are, the ultraviolet. Now, what? Wow.
And
What
Sinestro's
do you
in that
suppose-
group as well. He was in that group.
Yeah. It's also one of the. Yeah, it also explains this version of one of his costumes.
His
he
classic
wears.
costume when he wasn't wearing the Green Lantern outfit, he was wearing that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a bluish. They brought it back briefly right when Hal Jordan was nuts and trying to kill off everybody. The Guardians, in like a Hail Mary attempt, basically gave Sinestro back his ring, his Green Lantern ring, so he could fight against Hal Jordan, and then he killed him. Like Hal killed him. So they eventually, he got better. That's how it always happens.
Yeah. So, what do you suppose the mood for this type of rings power is? The ultraviolet.
Yeah, I have no clue on.
I don't
this
even
one.
remember, to be honest with you. I think it was that was after I kind of stopped caring for a while.
I would think kind of like a clear.
Clear, huh?
Yeah, it makes sense
Oh,
to me.
or void. Like you're void of emotions.
Oh, you mean empty?
Well, yeah, like in Asian culture, right? Like void is like nothingness. So you're right, empty. Basically
Wow.
nothingness. You don't have any emotions because that's how you get strong. If you get rid of your emotions, you basically can pull through anything.
Yeah. Ultraviolet corpse is the lantern corp of the unseen light, part of the invisible emotional spectrum. The heart of the corpse is a living phantom galaxy, powered by a sentient sun called Umbrax. The corpse is controlled by Umbrax, rather than each individual member controlling their own emotions. However, this is not always the case. Sinestro found a way to bind and isolate the ultraviolet power into himself, using his original costume with the linen fibers that can distill the energy of Umbrax without succumbing to its thrall, and now helms the ultraviolet corpse. John Stewart was also able to overcome the influence of Umbrax and wield the ultraviolet energy through his own force of will and confronting the negative emotions he held deep down. Yeah, that makes sense of what Sinestro used to look like. Well, of what kind of power he used to wield before they decided to make him a Yellow Lantern. Yeah. Oh, don't you worry about that. You'll be on next one. Well, later on. Well, Umbrax. We should probably look that up before we. Yeah. Yeah, let's check up Umbrax. Huh. Wow. The power of Umbrax. Huh. Well, yeah. Let's see. Huh. Even yeah, yeah. John even fought against his own allies that went while possessing the power of the ultraviolet ring. Well, anything else to contribute before we wrap up?
No, I think we pretty much covered like everything.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
It was a good stream.
Yeah, I guess so.
Should we talk about the Guardians though? A
Oh,
little bit?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess that's the one thing we didn't really touch on. Was
Yeah,
the
we
Guardians.
did all of the Guardians from I guess we have to do all the Guardians, the Green Lantern through Black/White Lantern,
Yeah. Yeah, Guardians of the Universe.
because they're the reason why the rings even exist. They have the ability to give
True.
people rings.
Exactly. Yeah, Guardians of the Universe. They were introduced in the 50s, right?
Yeah, well, they were no, well, yeah, I think I don't know the exact time, but they were basically introduced right as the Green Lantern Corps became a thing. So
Yeah. Yeah, setting up the foundation of space characters as well.
They're kind of like Shaolin monks, or like basically like the Jedi orders, like like basically like Yoda.
they're basically a bunch of Yodas.
Yes.
Yeah,
Use the
Yeah.
Force, you will. Yes.
because they're the same height as they're the same height as Yoda.
I'm pretty sure they're meant to be Yodas, but for legal reasons, they can't say that. They have to say, "Oh, well, it could be inspired. It could be not."
Yeah,
They're all Yoda.
yeah,
They just have
Yoda.
blue skin. That's it. Instead of green, it's blue.
Yeah, one of them is named Ganthet. Or-
He's basically the main one. Ganthet is like the one that he's the one who is the most free thinking a lot of the times. He was also the one who gave Kyle Rayner his ring. He was the one who he ended up becoming a Blue Lantern. So
Yeah, Ganthet.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can kind of see the inspiration of like the bald one being like a Shaolin monk one as well. With the
Uh-huh.
and then some of them with the Fu Manchu beard and goatee.
Oh, yeah.
The other pictures, the other images, where that one, the one with the CGI look, the greenish one,
This.
right there. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Kind of has the Chinese master.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of look with the sideburns and the long like skullet look.
Uh-huh. And here, yeah, and this one is the angry one called Appa Ali Apsa. Appa Ali Apsa. Oh,
yeah, they all have weird names.
It sounds Indian in a good way, you know, like
Yeah.
I could tell that they took a lot of inspiration from India and China and like other cultures.
Yes, they were Draconis. They were definitely in the Green Lantern 2011 movie.
And
Yeah,
also,
one of them.
oh no, go ahead. My bad.
Yeah, one of them was Parallax.
Also, when I
Yeah.
think of Appa, I think of the Avatar cartoon. I think of the
Yeah.
flying bison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I do like how they're dressed, though. They wear the red outfit as a tribute to Alan Scott's original outfit.
Yeah.
I like the tribute there.
Yeah, me too, guys. Me too. Oh, and look at this one. Right before we. Yeah. Hal Jordan with Ganthet in the suit.
He's wearing a red suit.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely kind you would wear in the old days.
Yeah, it's a 1950s, 1960s look where people would wear red suits like it was nothing.
Yeah.
I'd wear a red suit.
No, I would too. I would wear a yellow or like an orange suit because most people they just wear either like brown, gray, or tan. Like they don't the bright colored ones. They associate that more for parties like weddings or like just clubbing. Now
Yeah.
you don't really see people wearing it outside just for business or just to go out. You don't have to go for a celebration. You just that was your normal wear.
Uh-huh.
That's like James Bond, right? Like people forget, like they associate James Bond with the tuxedo, with the bow tie or a fancy tie with a tuxedo combo. He wore a business suit originally with a hat with a fedora. That was his outfit, and that was back then. That was just normal wear.
Yep. Very much.
See, I think 007, and my first thought was Aston Martin and martinis.
Yeah, that too. And I remember
here.
watching
Chicken
Sean
not
Connery. I remember Sean Connery, his first movie that he played James Bond. He's not wearing the tuxedo, and I'm like, I was shocked. I'm like, wait, you're not wearing the tuxedo?
Oh, sorry.
He,
Sorry.
yeah, he's wearing his business suit with a fedora.
By the way, you should never shake a martini; it bruises the gin.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Same here. Yeah.
I'll stir it instead.
Yep.
Well, it's one of those tips I picked up on my husband's channel, Last Call with Troy Pacelli. He'll talk about different drinks on his channel, and one of them he had done a stream on martinis, and had mentioned you do not shake the martini because you bruise the gin.
Yeah.
Did he ever do one? Did he ever do a stream on tequila?
Honey, have you done a stream on tequila?
I could do a stream on tequila.
He said he
I'll
can do
join.
one.
I'll join.
Okay.
Message me on Twitter, and I'm a bit of a tequila guy.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, my husband said he will do a stream on tequila, so we'll let you know about that.
Sounds good. I'm gonna have some right now, actually.
Yeah,
But what
drink.
brand?
My brand is Espolon. That's the one I drink.
Yeah.
Espolon.
Now, please tell me it's in a glass bottle and not a plastic one.
No, it's glass.
Yeah.
You should never have alcohol in a plastic bottle. It's blasphemy.
Sure.
Yep. Except for when hotels or businesses are cheap and they just want to use the plastic bottles for mini fridges and stuff.
Okay, you got me there.
Yeah, because they. It
But I'm
used to be
talking about for
glass
your
mini
own
bottles.
bar. It should be a glass
okay,
bottle.
Gotcha. Because
Yep.
hotels nowadays is like they're not going to be spending money on mini glass alcohol bottles in the mini fridge. They're like, we're going to use plastic.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Hang on. Let me get your links up and then we'll call it. Yep. Thanks again for coming tonight, guys. It was real fun.
Thank you.
Yep.
Oh no,
Thanks
yes.
for having us.
I mean, anytime I get a chance to talk about the Green Lantern, it's a fun time.
It sure is.
I apologize for any of my mistakes that I made just because I'm exhausted, but I think I remembered things pretty well. As
Dude,
best
it's
I
okay.
could.
I made some mistakes or errors too, man. I almost messed up the weakness of the current Green Lantern with Alan Scott's, and I literally for a brief second, nope. Yellow is for Alan.
Yeah.
Wood is for Alan, and yellow is the current Green Lantern Corps members. So we all make
Yeah.
mistakes.
Yeah, we all do. Yep.
So it's all good.
Yeah, that should do it. Thanks again.
Yeah, thanks for dropping the links to our channels and our Twitter X accounts. That's great. Thanks.
You're welcome, Netters. So, got anything coming up, guys? Before we close shop.
No.
for me-
I
Oh,
just appreciate. I just appreciate that I was able to talk about my favorite character. So
Thank you, and I'm very honored to have you on tonight, Dark Hour. Thank you.
yeah. For me, what I got coming up is next the 7th. So actually tomorrow, my guest on Thursday Things will be Big Al Presents, and he'll be talking about the creation of the 10-word review. He is the creator of that. So we're going to be talking about how that came to be and other things to do with Big Al Presents. He's also my co-host on Saturday nights for when we do our movie rewatches, and we alternate between his channel and my channel. This Saturday will be on his channel, and we'll be watching a movie called Emma. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's good to know. And thanks for joining us, King.
Thanks, man.
It's an honor.
Well, it's an honor to be here, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks again, guys. Look forward to having each of you on again soon.
Yeah, that'd
Anyway.
be great.
Anyway, it's midnight it's past midnight where I am. But have a good night, everybody. Sergeant Garatina's taking off.
Night.
Take care. Take care.